which is one of the main new features coming with Game Update 1.2 in Star Wars The Old Republic. Game Update 1.2 is probably, I think, the biggest free game update any MMO's ever put out there. There's so much stuff coming in this game update. For those of you who are currently subscribers, you may have checked it out on the public test server at home. If you haven't had a chance yet, we've got computers over here that are running Game Update 1.2. So after this little presentation, you can head over there, hop on a machine, check out some of the new features, UI customization. We got some accounts with Legacy on them, so after I show you all the cool stuff, you can go play with it. But right now, let's talk about Legacy. So, Star Wars, pretty good movies. One of the main things about Star Wars in the entire series has been the epicness of the group of people band together by a common element, by a common theme. And for example, in the movies, you had Anakin and Padme, Luke and Leia, Han and Chewie, Lando and his pilot. But all of them were bound together by a common legacy. They all worked together through thick and thin, through all their main stories, through all those epic movies and books afterwards and what have you. And that's something we really wanted to bring to Star Wars The Old Republic, the idea that all of your characters are tied together through a common legacy. And so with Game Update 1.2, we're adding in this whole system that allows you to tie all of your characters together, to unlock things across each of the characters on your legacy, to get all these really cool things that drives the idea that all of your characters are part of this legacy together. When the game launched, when you completed Chapter 1 of your story, every class story has 3 chapters. Once you completed Chapter 1 on one of your first characters, you had the option to create a legacy, to choose the name that would represent your legacy through the game. It's a last name or a legacy name, depending on which way you like to show it in the game. But besides that, and the little legacy experience bar at the bottom.
You probably remember this little purple thing at the bottom of the screen and wondering what the heck that does. Up to now, it's done pretty much absolutely nothing. We know. Starting in 1.2, it's going to start to do some pretty cool stuff.
So yeah, we're here to show you what that cool stuff is. So, the first thing you do once you've created your legacy is you get a screen that pops up with all of the characters on your server, which are now part of that legacy. And you can actually create your family tree with them. You can take each of the characters and drag them around. I think I'm in the way, I'm going to move out of the way. You can drag them all around, arrange them however you want, and decide how each of those characters are related to each other. Is your bounty hunter related to your agent? Are they married? Is one an adopted son of the other? Are they allies? Are they rivals? The idea of legacy is that they don't have to be directly related. Lando Calrissian is not directly related to Han, but it's very obvious that they are part of the same legacy. They hung out together, they spent time together, they worked together for most of their lives. And so by playing around with this family tree, you decide how your legacy plays out. It's a really fun tool just to decide what all of your characters mean to each other. It doesn't have any gameplay effect, but it lets you visualize what your legacy means to you. So besides this, there's a ton of cool unlockable stuff that you get. The main unlockables you get are for completing your class stories for each of those classes. Like I said, when you complete Chapter 1 on any character for the first time, you get to create your legacy. You get to name it, you get to keep that name across all of your characters. But once you start completing the later chapters, you unlock more and more things for those classes across all of your other classes. So for example, Chapter 2, by completing Chapter 2 of any of those classes, first you unlock a unique emote for that class. Like if you complete Chapter 2 of the Imperial Agent, you gain access to /agent, which does a cool little, you want to show it? Get /agent, which does whip out some knives. And this emote you can use on all of your other characters on that legacy, even if they're not an agent.
And this idea of, your character can earn emotes and therefore be able to express himself in different ways is one of the things that we think that we're bringing something interesting to the MMO market. The idea that you can express yourselves in ways that other people can.
And then of course, by also completing Chapter 2, you also unlock that class buff. Every class has its own little individual buff that it can buff a party with. You unlock that buff for all the other classes on that legacy. So you can unlock up to 4 buffs by completing all 4 stories, and then have one class cast a single buff and it'll give you all 4 of them. Which I don't think really, if you watch the bar, he just cast his agent buff and all 4 of them appeared down here. And then the most important thing is by completing Chapter 3 of any class story, you unlock a heroic ability. a special defining ability of that class, which can be used on any other class on your legacy, regardless of whether they are a Sith or a Jedi or an agent or a trooper.
And so the idea here is that you know, if you've gotten your warrior to max level and your warrior, you now have this inside of your legacy. It's something that's being passed down. And that's the ability to, I don't know, force choke somebody out even while playing your agent. If you get your smuggler to max level, what do you think that a smuggler should pass down to his kids? What is the stereotypical smuggler power? Come on. Kick him in the nuts, that's right. So, we have limitations on this. We don't want these powers to be huge balance breakers inside of PvP or inside of operations. And so the way that this works is that you can only use these when you have your companion out, when you use your heroic moment ability, which is another ability, and then you can fire these off all in a row. So this is mostly for doing lighter flashpoints and doing the solo PvE content, but it really is a chance to add some flair and do some powerful stuff. One of the things that we've done for most of these powers is that they tend to affect bosses and other higher level stuff that normally wouldn't be affected by it. So anytime that you've seen an elite out in the world and been mad that you couldn't force choke him, well, with the legacy force choke you can.
Can I ask all of you guys who are standing in the aisle, just if you're going to stay, come on in. We're all friendly people here. Move on in. There's plenty of room up here, guys. There's lots of open space, so come on and fill in. I promise I don't bite. Just stay away from Eric, because he does. Thank you. So, those are the unlocks you get for completing all of your class story. And these things carry, like I said, across Empire and Republic. So you can unlock up to 8 heroic abilities across both factions. And in addition to that, as you see all these lovely blank spaces here, every class gets 5 companions, 5 unique companions for their class. And by completing any of their story quest lines, which is by more or less maxing out their affection and then completing all their quests, you'll also unlock special buffs for each of those companions, depending on their role in combat. If they're a healer, you'll get a certain stat, or if they're a ranged DPS, you'll get a certain stat. In addition to a presence buff. And I believe the presence stat actually improves the efficiency of all of your companions, regardless of whether they heal or do damage or tank for you.
Right. So pretty much for every kind of companion, for example, all of your healing companions will earn you the same buff, but you can only earn that once. So if you get it, max out your second healing companion, then you'll just get the presence buff on top of that. So really, in order to max out your character stat-wise for the legacy system, you really want to max out the affection of one of each different kind of companion character.
I actually think I forgot to mention this yesterday, but unlocking these companion things also decreases the cooldown of your heroic moment and increases the length of that heroic moment. So that means it gives you a much longer chance to use those cross-class abilities that you've unlocked and use them more often. So, moving on from the classes, the next thing everybody asks about are species. I want to play more species and more classes. So, if you can level a specific species to level 50, you'll unlock that species for every class in the game.
And so what that means is that there effectively, through the legacy system, are no more race class limitations inside of Star Wars The Old Republic. Through the legacy system, you can play a Sith pureblood Jedi Knight. You can play, if you can close the window here, the sniper agent who sees through the Force, which is pretty cool. The other thing that you're going to get out of this is the ability to unlock some of the customization options that were locked off before. So in 1.1, you can't play a red Twi'lek on the Republic side and a blue Twi'lek on the Imperial side. But if you max out a Twi'lek to level 50, then all of those options become unlocked. Similarly, the Cyborg has some very class-specific options. So you guys probably have noticed that the Agent Cyborg has some very Bluetoothy-looking things that's really designed to look, kind of Mission Impossible-y. Whereas the Warriors Cyborg options are the heavy, metal, big, mechanical stuff. Well, once you actually get a Cyborg to 50, then all of those options are unlocked for all of your classes.
And I know there's some people out there who are like, well, I don't want to level a class all the way to 50 just to get the species for another class, which is great because we have an option for you as well. All of these things can actually be purchased for credits by hitting a certain minimum legacy level. So if you don't feel like leveling a Chiss all the way to 50 just because you want to play a Chiss Consular, that's fine. Save up some credits, build up your legacy level, and then you'll just be able to purchase it straight off the bat. So then we've got a lot of little other unlocks, which are all mixed together in this tab. I just want to go over a couple of these categories. So the first one are alignment unlocks. These are things for maximizing your alignment either to light 5 or dark 5 and hitting level 50. And when you do that, you can unlock 2 different abilities, one for dark side, one for light side, which affect you and your companion during combat. The dark side one's called Sacrifice, which kind of hurts your companion in order to heal you. Seems appropriate.
It's a good thing to pass on through the generations, yes.
Obviously important. And then the light side one's called Unity, which actually, I believe, reduces damage for both classes, correct? For you and your companion. Yeah. So under that, you get a bunch of ship unlocks through Legacy. These are purchasable ones once you hit certain Legacy levels, but they will actually unlock, as you've seen, Steven's been fighting a training dummy. You can actually purchase a training dummy for your ship. You can actually purchase 2 training dummies for your ship, which allow you to fight, just try out your abilities on the training dummy, learn what they do, understand how they all work with each other.
And I want to stress that these unlocks here that you're seeing now are account-wide for that server. So once you buy this training dummy, it will pop up on all of the characters on that server that you have.
And in addition to training dummies, you can also purchase a terminal for the galactic market on your ship. This is actually a neutral cross-faction terminal, so you'll be able to sell across the entire game.
This is instantly the highest level Legacy reward currently in the game.
And right next to the terminal, there's also a repair astromech that you can purchase. This little droid will let you repair all your gear right there on the ship. And he also sells enhancements for your ship droid, because right now the ship droid's not very useful for crew skills or crafting. So you can buy these enhancements, which you'll be able to equip on your ship droid and make him actually useful at something, besides talking.
He talks less in 1.2.
Very important. I think that's everyone's favorite new feature. And then the other, what did I forget? Oh, the last thing you can purchase is a mailbox on your ship. So you can play around on the GTN, you can buy and sell stuff on the market, and then just run over to your mailbox and pick it all up. Right there. So those are the ship unlocks. We also have Valor unlocks, which are unlocks for reaching certain Valor ranks. The 4 abilities you can unlock through Valor are unarmed combat abilities. These are very fun little 4 little abilities that let you, if you want to duel another player without any weapons equipped, you totally can. You got punch, jab, kick, and uppercut. Bash.
And so we want to stress that by design, these are, shall we say, not as effective as using a lightsaber. We want you guys to think of it as challenge mode, to go on to a war zone and actually win with these. Yeah, if someone can kill someone in a war zone without wearing any weapons, I want to see that video. I know it'll happen. It will happen. I'm waiting for that day. What we're asking from you guys is for the hilarious YouTubes of that happening.
Yes.
So,
because whoever dies to it is probably the worst player. So I want to know who that is. No pressure. So the convenience unlocks are unlocks that the first 2 rows will just decrease the cooldowns of your quick travel and your emergency fleet pass, so you can use them more often. They're just purchasable with credits, again, once you hit certain legacy ranks. But the one under it, but the level under it actually unlocks a rocket boost, which is a castable temporary epic mount, more or less. It lets you use rocket boots for about 12 seconds at the highest speed currently available for mounts. And then you can buy upgrades to that to reduce the cooldown of it. And you can use them anywhere that mounts can be used, which means not war zones and not operations. And not on your ship. But interestingly enough, in 1.2, you can use them in spaceports, because you can use all mounts in spaceports now. Yay! So here we are in the spaceport. And rocket boots. So this will let you run around really fast for a couple seconds, and then when the cooldown's up, you can use it again. Nice little quick burst. And then the other, this is the community, so you can buy upgrades to decrease the cooldown for them. And then the last tier we have here are social unlocks. These are things for those of you who like bumping that social experience bar up. So when you reach certain social tiers, you'll unlock each of these things. The first one is Companion Dance, which allows both of you to dance in synchronization. then the next ones unlock packages of emotes. So those people who've been asking for more emotes, you can work your way through this, and either by getting a certain social tier or unlocking, getting it to a certain legacy level and then just buying these upgrades. You can get Slash Binoculars, which works really well with a blind Mira Luca.
And this is incidentally, just as an aside, part of a commitment on ours to give the role players more tools for them to play with just throughout the game.
We've got to make them work for it, just like everybody else. It's got to build up that social tier. And then the last upgrade you can get is an emote called Double Lasers. It's my favorite one. Hey. So that's everything that's on the other tab, and most of those things can be either purchased by hitting a certain legacy level, or there are requirements that you can reach to unlock them without having to spend any credits. And we want to give people the option either way, you know, using time or money, depending on what's more valuable to you. The last tab we got there is called Coming Soon. I'm not going to go into too much detail here because all of this stuff is coming in 1.3, but the idea here is that you'll be able to buy specific upgrades for specific characters as opposed to across the entire legacy. And these are things that'll help those characters level, will make their lives a little easier. They're really convenience upgrades. So if you want to roll a new character, but you don't really feel like playing any of the flashpoints this time, you really want to focus on the war zones. You want to level through the war zones, you're really enjoying that a lot. You can buy upgrades which will increase the experience you get in war zones. So you can roll a new character, send some money to that new character, and have him buy these upgrades so that way he can level the way he wants. I believe there's an upgrade that'll let you get a mount earlier in the game at level 10 instead of level 25. So these are things that you can purchase per character that you can save up for. There's also one that'll let you buy it'll let you summon a repair droid right next to you. So for those of you that run operations, you can summon a repair droid right in the middle of the ops. Everybody can repair real quick and jump right back in. There's a lot of cool things here. I don't want to go into too much detail on this tab because it's really just a teaser of things to come. But if you want to play with this stuff, if you want to play with all of Legacy, we've got 4 machines here on the end which have Legacy unlocked on them. So you can go over, sit down, play around with the UI, try out a bunch of the unlocks, see what it's all about. And if you already have a subscription to the game, you can also jump onto the public test server at home, check it out if you've got a higher level character on there. And it'll actually be coming to the live servers when, Steven? When's it coming to the live servers? Very, very soon? Is that the terminology? It's going to be live very, very soon.
Tantalizingly soon.
Like, soon. So, does anyone have any questions specifically about Legacy? I want to remind everyone that at 3 o'clock today we have a Q&A with all of the developers we have here at PAX. They'll be up on stage, you'll be able to ask questions about everything and anything. But Damien is here just for Legacy right now, so if anyone has questions about Legacy in Game Update 1.2, I will be happy to take those questions. I'm going to sit down.
Have a seat. It seems like you get unlocks for Legacy for beating chapters 2 and 3 on your secondary and beyond characters. Do you get anything for beating chapter 1? I mean, like, originally you unlock Legacy for beating chapter 1, but do you get anything for your second character beating chapter 1?
Not at this time. It's not something. It's something that we might add in the future, but it's not going to be inside of this iteration of Legacy.
With the Legacy abilities like transferring from class to class, you said you can force choke, you know, like a boss you can't normally force choke, but what if you're already a Sith Warrior with force choke?
Well, right now you probably have noticed that some of these abilities that we're talking about, there are guys that you can't force choke inside of, for example, the flashpoints, the hard mode flashpoints. If you happen to bring your companion and can use your heroic abilities inside of these, you might be able to force choke some of those guys that you couldn't before.
So a Sith Warrior who already has force choke will still get the Legacy force choke?
Yes, basically everybody in the Legacy gets access to it, even the guys on the other side. So your Jedi Knight will get the ability to force choke, which if you remember, Return of the Jedi, that's what Luke did inside of the Hutt Palace, right? So.
I was going to ask about the Legacy tree. Would there be like a new, maybe not a new feature, but something to add in, like maybe NPC characters, like for role players?
We are talking about not only only allowing you to add, for example, your companions, but also to add other players to the legacy tree, that's a ways out. We're not going to commit to that or any time frame for that at this time, but it's definitely something we're talking about.
Why would I do that? So,
I don't know why you would do that.
So that double laser beam thing, does that scale like to boss size? So let's say I go into Braga's, or I go find Bone Crusher and I do that to him. Will I get like giant laser beams coming out of my hands?
I have no earthly idea. I don't know if anyone's thought to check.
I believe it insta-kills everyone, right? That's how that works? I mean, is that correct? I'm doing that just so the people who are transcribing this right now are going to get it all wrong and everybody's going to rage about it. That was a joke, whoever's writing that down.
Hi. Will we be able to sit in more chairs?
Through the legacy. You can't just ask a question and add through the legacy to it.
There's lots of chairs in the world, and we can't sit in any of them but in our ships.
You'll probably find the number of chairs that you can sit on will expand as the game ages. No, there's nothing tied to the legacy system about that. And no, we are currently not having any world builder go on a concerted chair pass to try to replace those. Maybe we should, but that's not on the top of our priority list right now.
Yeah, that's the legacy name. Will there be any way to change it?
Right now you can contact. Right now you cannot contact CS. We are looking at ways to make it so that an automated system for dealing with name changes for legacy players and guilds is coming. But right now that's not on the immediate horizon. Let's go over here.
I was wondering if we're going to see any, like for example, you can get a Miraluka on Empire side. Are we going to see any flavor for like the eye coverings and stuff like that are more Imperial, or?
Not at this time. Right now you're just unlocking the appearances that were already available. We would like to expand those, but we'll see where we want to spend the time and effort.
With the legacy system, are you going to be able to, are you guys going to bring out something to like customize characters that have already been made on a server? Like if people have already filled up the server with like several alts, so that like if they unlock something, they can change up one of their characters?
We have plans to add a dressing room / barbershop / whatever you want to call it someday. It's not imminent. We know that the legacy system creates a new need for that. That wasn't there before.